G'day, this is Expand the Fan Podcast. We are a website, a podcast, and a way of life. And you can find us at chroniclechamber.com. I am Jermaine, and in this podcast we will be celebrating the fandom's 80th birthday. First of all, let's introduce Dan and Steve. How are you, gents?
I'm fantastic, mate. I'm super excited. It's birthday season. Should have brought my birthday hat and a Vuvuzela or something to blow, but forgot those things. But yeah, I love a good birthday, and a milestone is fantastic.
It might not be a good idea because people might be listening to us while they're driving or something like that. And if you blow something like that, there might be a car accident
off the road
on a freeway or something like that. So I love the enthusiasm, but we might not worry about that.
You sure? I've just picked up the bugle.
How are you,
anyway,
Steve?
I'm doing well, Jim, and your good self.
Good. Looking forward to it. We got some special things with today's podcast. So, I hope our fans will enjoy to celebrate the birthday with us.
Now, this won't be a long podcast. Now, first of all, we did put a call out to our listeners, our friends, those who follow us on social media, and a bunch of creators from around the world, if they would like to send out a happy birthday wish video for the Phantom. And thanks to everyone that did so. We have collected them all here, and if you missed out, please send through a comment or a post or whatever platform you use and use hashtag Phantom and remind everyone of our favourite hero, our favourite character. Now, let us swing around the world for those who wish the Phantom a happy 90th birthday.
Hello, everyone. Antonio Lemos here, joining you all Phantom fans and artists and collectors in our celebration of the 90th anniversary of publication of The Adventures of the Ghost Who Walk. As you can imagine, it's a very relevant date for all of us, artists and publishers, and most of all fans who have been following the Phantom, some from their childhood, and probably the Phantom is one of the comic book heroes that has made a greater impact in Australia than in his native America. But I am really very happy and very proud of being invited by Jermaine Parker, the man behind this podcast for the Phantom, I think that one of the things that we celebrate today on his birthday is that the Phantom has captured the imagination of Australians, perhaps more than any country in the world. And so I am drinking a coffee now, but if I had really something important in my cup, I will raise it together with you at the same time and wish our beloved and iconic hero a very, very 90th birthday today. Not today, this month. And our hope that this character is going to fulfill the Creator's prophecy and live 400 years, at least. So to Leafolk, the Creator, and to the Phantom, and to everyone who is in this same Phantom Brotherhood around the world, my very, very happy birthday, and thank you once again for the ones that make possible this reunion of fans and artists and collectors in this podcast. Thank you again, and let's wait for the 100 years not for me, for him.
Hello, my name is Bernd Frenz and I'm a comic journalist and a comic writer from Germany. I write for the Swedish Fantomen magazine. I know the Phantom since my childhood, but what made me a real fan was interviewing the artist Hanna Bade in 2014. My stories are published in Sweden, Australia and Germany, and I like to wish the Phantom a happy birthday.
Hi, I'm Brad Kelly. I'm from Australia, and I wanted to wish the Phantom a happy birthday. 90 years of the Phantom being around the world, celebrating stories, celebrating artists, and celebrating 90 years of the Phantom. 10 years ago, I went down to my local news agency, noticed that a cool looking cover, this Phantom cover, and I bought it. And 10 years later, I'm still a Phantom fan. I've been a Phantom fan since 2016, and what makes me a fan is just reading Phantom comics. It's that simple. I love the Phantom down to probably 0 to 100. There's no in between. And what also helps is probably my YouTube channel, which everyone probably already knows about, but it's called Phantom Cave Reviews. It's really good. And my favorite stories are the assassination of President Lincoln and a new story that was published last year in 2025, The Devil's Brotherhood. And my favorite creators are Roy Feldman, Antonio Lemos, and a local one, Jamie Johnson. How good is that? And celebrating the 90th anniversary of the Phantom is a really big milestone for the Phantom, and I just can't wait until he raises the bat on a century mark. It's going to be so awesome. How good is 90 years of the Phantom? Oh, there's another person on the podcast here on Chronicle Chamber.
G'day, it's Bradleigh and Joyful here from Gindera. Very, very hot southern New South Wales. We just wanted to say happy birthday, Kit, alias the Phantom, on 90 years. And been asked to just point out a couple of special items. And one of the most special items that I have in my collection would be the Sing Pirate submarine from the Phantom movie, and also the Skull Throne. That's because Joyful loves me, and I love Joyful, because the Skull Throne's in the house. So, first started reading the Phantom when I found a heap of the old man's comics, and just started reading, and basically haven't put one down and looked back since. So the other main thing I reckon from the Phantom in 90 years worth, 67 for me pretty much, is basically all the friends we've met, another Phantom, lifelong friends.
And my interest in the Phantom came with the territory of meeting Bradleigh. Luckily, I love purple, so it was a good start. And I think my greatest achievement with the Phantom was surprising Bradleigh one Christmas with a custom-made, life-sized skull throne, as you can see here. And I think the highlight of having the Phantom in my life is meeting so many new and wonderful people through the Phantom connection. Happy birthday, Kit.
Ei, eu sou o Fantasma, o espírito que anda, o flagelo dos malfeitores e dos cruéis. Este ano de 2026, eu completo 90 anos de publicação. Mas, há mais de 4 séculos, eu já existo.
Na verdade, isso é uma grande brincadeira. Meu nome é Murilo
e amo fazer cosplay do Fantasma. Sou fã do Fantasma desde garoto, que é assim que eu acompanho. Um personagem do grande escritor Falk, e eu gosto desse personagem por conta da mensagem que ele traz.
herói que luta contra a crueldade, herói mascarado que passa esse legado de pai para filho, e assim sucessivamente. Quero desejar ao Fantasma um feliz aniversário. Neste ano de 2026, no dia 7 de fevereiro, completa seus 90 anos de publicação. E quero desejar também um feliz aniversário às editoras Medcase, Mini Pictures, editora brasileira, Mitos, aos seus criadores de conteúdo que gosto muito, como o canal Fantasma Brasil, e também The Chronic Chamber, que gosto muito, aos seus escritores atualmente, Tony Depo, e a um de seus grandes e ilustres ilustradores, Bernd.
E saiba que a selva nunca esquece, e o fantasma também não.
Hello, my fellow fans. This is Daniel, the creative director here at Saturday Morning Cards, and the mad genius behind the Phantom release here, Blind Box Designer Art Cards. This was a huge success for us. Thanks to you guys, the fans, for supporting this project. I want to thank you guys so much. You know, I've been a fan since 1996, since the legend himself, Billy Zane, showed me that it was cool to wear the color purple, and I've loved the Phantom ever since. And for this special 90th anniversary birthday, I want to wish you guys all happy birthday, but I want to announce that we will be doing a Volume 2 Phantom here in 2026. I promise you. So if you haven't got one of these yet, you can order one of these now at SaturdayMorningCards.com. And remember the old jungle saying, Saturday Morning Cards, collect what you love.
Hi, my name is Dan Rankine. I'm a comic artist and writer, and I've actually written for the Phantom. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. What I love about the Phantom is the kind of pulpiness of it. I love the jungle stories, and I love the action. I think my favourite Phantom stories are by Paul Mason. His Vietnam series is amazing, and I want to wish the Phantom a very happy 90th birthday.
Hi, Duncan Munro here. I just wanted to join Chronicle Chamber in wishing the Phantom a happy 90th birthday. You have always been a beacon for adventure, a compass for virtue, and a divining rod for justice. And it's not looking like changing anytime soon. For someone who's 490 years old, he doesn't look a day over 489. Happy birthday to the old man, and happy Fantoming to you.
For those who came in late, 90 years ago, a hero emerged from the shadows and entered the inky black and white pages of newspaper comic strips the world over. A hero who branded evildoers with the mark of a skull. This man had devoted his life to the destruction of piracy, greed, cruelty, and injustice in all their forms, just as his forefathers had done for 20 generations before him. He goes by many names. The Man Who Cannot Die, the Guardian of the Eastern Dark, the Ghost Who Walks, Mr. Kit Walker. I'd like to thank Lee Falk for creating such a wonderful character, a wonderful hero, one of the greatest characters in fiction from the 20th century. Happy 90th anniversary, Phantom. May the Ghost Who Walks continue to walk for centuries to come. Now, just a quick personal note. I've been a Phantom fan with a PH since 2006 with the 70th anniversary. I was 14 and my family were going on a little holiday road trip, and my mum stopped at the newsagent on the way out to do her lotto, and while she was there she picked up something for my brother and I to read to keep us occupied of a long trip. My brother got a car magazine, I got Frew's Phantom 70th anniversary special, and I devoured it. Instantly after that, I went to the local newsagent and bought all the Phantom comics they had on the shelf, and I've been collecting ever since. There's something so unique about the Phantom. He's an important link in the evolution between pulp hero and modern superhero, but he's more than just a stepping stone. He's such an incredible dynamic character that has changed so little over the decades, yet he still remains as strong and well-rounded as ever, with such an incredible cast, an incredible setting, Diana Palmer, Guran, so many wonderful characters, such a wide range of stories that can be told, from superhero exploits to daring jungle adventure. So I just would like to thank the Phantom, all of his supporting cast, and all the creators who have worked on this wonderful, wonderful character. Happy 90th anniversary, and a massive thank you to Lee Falk for setting us off on this voyage all those decades ago. Here's to the next 90, Mr. Walker.
Hello guys, my name is Glaucio Cardoso and I'm from Brazil, and I wanted to wish the Phantom a happy birthday. I've been a fan since I was 10 years old, and what makes me a fan is the fact that the Phantom has a rich and intelligent mythology. I like the way he deals with issues like prejudice, injustice, and also the appreciation of ancestry. My favorite Phantom stories and creators are The Slave Trade of Mukar by Lee Falk and Cyber, and also the DC series written by Peter David and with art by Joe Orlando. It's a great joy to share my passion for the Phantom with you guys. Thank you all.
Hi, my name is Lucas. I'm from Brazil, and I've been a Phantom fan since 1993, I guess. And I'm very happy to see the Phantom turning 90. That's an awesome milestone, and he remains my favorite superhero of all time. So I'm really happy to see that. So I like my Phantom stories grounded. I like when they're unapologetic adventures. And yeah, I like when they touch on real life events as well, where things that could be happening in our world. So yeah, my favorites are the earlier run with Lee Falk and Ray Moore. I also like the earlier issues of Cyber. And I really like the Marvel miniseries that they put out. I really, really enjoyed that. I would like to see that team coming back for another run. I like the DC 13 issues as well. That miniseries is one of the first things I've read. It hooked me immediately. And yeah, I think Phantom's a great, fun, very no-nonsense adventure story. It's something that can appease to many ages. I was really young, around 9, 10, when I read The Phantom, and there were guys in their 30s and 40s and even older telling me how much they loved The Phantom growing up. So yeah, a hero for all ages, and let's see 90 more years, 400 years, whatever. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, thanks.
Hey guys, this is Jamie in New York City. Let's wish our friend, the Phantom, a happy 90th birthday. Between us, I tease Siberia. I say, you know what? You're older than the Phantom. And he says, don't remind me, troublemaker. Happy birthday, Phantom.
Greetings, Phantom fans. This is Jason Paulos, artist of Phantom by Gaslight, Rise of the Red Dragon Part 2, etc. Just wishing everybody a happy 90th Phantom's birthday, and hope to see you in the funny papers.
Hi, this is Jeff Weigel. I'm the Sunday artist for the Phantom newspaper strip, and I'd like to wish the Phantom a happy 90th birthday. I'm very glad and honored to be a part of a strip that's lasted this long and that means so much to so many people. Let's see, my favorite Phantom story maybe is, I'll say one that I worked on. It was my first full Phantom strip, which was The Rat Must Die. And I really had a lot of fun drawing that strip and really felt like I came into my own as I was working on it. So I have a particular soft spot for that particular story. Anyway, hello to all you Phantom fans out there, and I hope you enjoy the Phantom as much as I enjoy working on it for you.
Hey, this is Joel Folda from Malta. I wanted to wish the Phantom happy birthday. What I like of this character is that he is extremely coherent to his oath and his moral code, and 90 years are a lot of time to demonstrate this. My favorite stories are Danger in the Forbidden City, The Phantom Who Died Twice, and The Venus of the Jungle. My favorite creators are Salvelluto, Angelo Todaro, Roy Feldman, to not forget the greatest, Cy Berry. Happy birthday, Phantom, and the best is yet to come.
Hi, Phantom fans. I'm Juan Munro, the stepson of Cesar Espadari, a Phantom artist. I'm from Buenos Aires, and I want to wish to the Phantom, to the gods who walk, his 90th birthday, a happy birthday. I am a Phantom fan since the year 2000, when I started to work as a translator for Cesar Espadari. My favorite creators are, of course, Cesar Espadari, Antonio Lemos, Gianni Miton, and Percy Ochoa. My favorite sagas are the complete Kate Somerset saga of the Pirate Queen and the Mystery of Polymos, a story of the year 1987 for Semic in Sweden. Well, again, I want to say happy birthday to the gods who walk. Bye-bye from Buenos Aires.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Lennart Moberg, and I'm from Sweden, and I want to wish the Phantom a happy birthday. I have worked with the Phantom as a script writer and a cartoonist for over 15 years with the companies Semic and Egmont, and always have had a strong feeling for this incredible character. I have been a fan since early 1970s, and what makes me a fan is the incredible character and his universe. I cannot really point out any favorite stories, but my favorite cartoonist and creator is Cy Berry. Happy birthday, Phantom.
Happy birthday to the Phantom, and that means happy birthday to Phantom fandom, because the fandom started the day the Phantom did. Figure that one out. My name is Mike Bullock. I'm from the Eastern Dark, formerly known as the USA, and I wanted to wish the Phantom and all his fans a happy birthday. I've been a fan since I was about 10, when I started reading him in the newspapers on Sunday mornings and really just got hooked. There's so many cool things about the character, the way he is a good family man, the way he always sticks to what's right, doesn't have any gray in that. The really cool thing I've always loved is the legacy portion of the character, where, you know, you go from one generation to the next and the enemies all think that the Phantom never dies, but it's the father passing to the son. Very, very neat story woven in there. Very neat way that Lee Falk created that and put that together. Really dig it. And any stories that have anything to do with the Sky Band, I absolutely love. So glad to see that they're coming back. And really anything done by Cy Berry is just as good as it gets. Cy Berry is just an absolutely amazing artist. For so many years, there's been so many really great comic book artists that get so much attention, and Cy's just kind of run under the radar because it's the Phantom and it's not Spider-Man or the Batman or the X-Men. But Cy Berry is right up there with the greatest comic book artists to ever live. So happy birthday to the Phantom. Shout out to Cy Berry, and happy birthday to all the fans.
Hey, my name is Paul Mason. I'm a illustrator and writer for Frew Publications, The Phantom. I was an illustrator on Kid Phantom with Andrew Constant. I've worked alongside Amanda Backey, and I've written for Giancarlo Caracuzo, among some other things for Frew. But I've been working on The Phantom for coming on 10 years. And I just wanted to wish the Phantom and the Phantom property a happy 90th birthday. I'm very honoured and thankful to Frew for allowing me the opportunity to work in the Phantom sandbox on a character that's had such a long-lasting legacy in this country. And I think that it's an honour to be able to carry on some of the traditions of Australian comics publishing in and amongst this character and some of the Frew creations. I've been a fan of the character since probably the early 90s when I discovered it in the newspapers as a kid and coming across some Frew publication comics and just digging the visual style of the character. It's very rare that in American comics that a character maintains such a consistent look without any sort of huge major tweaks or long-lasting tweaks to costumes and things. It's a very effective design, and the artists that have worked on it, there's so many different classic interpretations of that character. So not only that, in terms of what makes me a fan of the character, is probably the lore that Falk and others have kind of built into the approach, where it's just for all intents and purposes a regular guy who has mythology and trickery as his armor, and carries on the legacy of what his father and forefathers before him have passed on. You could essentially insert the character in most places in history and write a multitude of different stories and genres. It doesn't have to be the same thing all the time, and different people will like different interpretations of it. So that's what I appreciate about the character. It's not necessarily locked into one thing, one genre. That said, my favourite stories, there's a bit of a mixture of things, and there's probably some recency bias. I love The Masked Marvel, The Phantom Goes to War, The Crybaby, Birdman of Bangalla, The Goggle Eye Pirates. I love all the sort of the gang stories of those old Wilson McCoy and Ray Moore stories that one can go through and find done in one characters that have a potential to add another dimension to them. Mr. Hogg or Marshall Sisters, those old gangs like, the Cy Barry Bad Ones. You could go back to the, I mentioned the Goggle Eye Pirates, the Swamp Men, the Grey Men, or the Grey Gang, I should say, the Sky Band, the Thuggies, of course, the Vultures, Cy Barry's Vultures. The list goes on. There's a multitude of that stuff. In terms of my favourite creators, there's a dramatic mix. I of course have an appreciation for Ray Moore and Wilson McCoy stories of the era. Cy Barry is the benchmark of those classic Phantom stories. Did I mention Julie Walker? I love the Julie Walker story too, which is a Wilson McCoy story, of course. But Team Phantom, and I appreciate Caesar Spadari's work. Hans Lindell. I'm going to butcher some more names. I apologise. I've only ever read these, so I don't really know how to pronounce them. But Georges Bess. Janis Ogden, who's one of the recent artists. I was reading The Ghost recently, which was the first, one of the first, if not the first, Team Fantomen story that was published out here, and I appreciate the artwork from there. No credits, haven't looked it up yet. I'll go to Phantom Wiki for that, or dig around the Phantom Bible. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you, of course, to Frew Publications. Thank King Features for still having this character around. Also thank Chronicle Chamber for this opportunity to send my appreciation to obviously them for shining a flashlight on Phantom stuff that isn't covered by, quote unquote mainstream comics and comics news. But providing something for fans and readers and creators alike to kind of keep their finger on the pulse in relation to this particular classic character. So I appreciate that. I obviously appreciate the readers that dig what I and other Frew creators are doing. I guess as an extension of that, some of my favorite local creators to see drawing the character. There's too many, and if I miss people out, I bump into them, and I don't mean to miss them out. But I love, Jason Polos's stories, Duncan Munro's writer, obviously Andrew Constant, Antonio Lemos, Glenn Ford's covers, Marcelo Bias's covers. Dean always has something fun to do. Dean Rankine. So that there's too many to mention. I'm sorry if I missed you. I do, while I'm talking, things pop into my head, like Grange, of course. The modern artists doing the strip, of course, going back to America. Very Mike. I was just going to say, very, very scatterbrain of me lately. But Mike Manley, Jeff Weigel. I appreciate the Alex Toth, like Terry Beattie. I have an appreciation for most interpretations of the character, so I it's really hard to narrow it down and try to stay concise. I just want to say thank you, and also happy 90th to the character. I sincerely hope that even beyond him reaching public domain, that he still maintains a professional and high quality presence throughout the comics medium as time marches on, and I hope that my niece and my nephews grow up to have an appreciation for the character as well, as not only part of international comics history, but also Australian comics history that is always kind of lurking nearby in the shadows. So thank you, everyone, and happy birthday, Phantom.
Hello, everyone. This is Pistol Pete Klaus from cold and snowy Baltimore, Maryland. I'm here today to wish the Phantom happy 90th birthday. I can remember 10 years ago, the Phantom turned 80, and I had a really nice drawing by Sal Polito. But for his 90th, I wanted to do something special. So I wrote a piece, and I'd like to do it for you now, and it goes something like this. I came alive many years ago. I was created by Lee Falk, if you didn't know. Fighting for the oppressed each and every day, standing up for justice in every possible way. I still appear in comics and papers, so please don't fear, because I intend to be around another 90 years. So happy birthday to the Phantom, and I got my chance to talk. Happy birthday to the Phantom. Happy birthday to the Ghost Who Walks. This is your buddy Pistol Pete, saying hello to all his friends in the US, Australia, Scandinavia, and around the world. Good night and God bless.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Je m'appelle Pierre Anderson et je suis un écrivain de bande dessinée et j'écris Le Fantôme. Et maintenant, en anglais. Hi, I'm Peter Anderson, and I'm one of the writers of The Phantom. I've written this one, The Phantom in Gothenburg. And come to think of it, I began reading The Phantom in 1976, and that's 50 years ago, which is weird because I'm only 37. And what can I say? The Phantom turns 90. Who would have known? So, happy birthday to you, Phantom. Cheers.
Ross here from Western Australia, wishing the Phantom a happy 90th. I've been a fan for over half a century. I got my first Phantom comic in 1975, and I can remember reading the Phantom in the Sunday Times as a little kid before then. My favourite stories are the ones by Lee Falk, and I'd like to thank Frew Comics for making them so cheap and easy to read over the years. In terms of my favourite artist, it would be a toss-up between Wilson McCoy and Cy Barry. I still picture the Wilson McCoy one as the one that I saw the most in the comics, but of course Cy Barry was always the one on the covers, and he's always the one on the newspapers. And I was really happy to hear that he's still going well today. I'd also like to pass on all my best to the current Phantom comic creators. It's a tough job trying to write anything today, I think, and especially so when you're following on in Lee Falk's footsteps. Thanks.
Sammy J here, and I want to say a very happy birthday to my friend, my hero, the original hero, the Ghost Who Walks, Kit Walker, the Phantom. Happy 90th birthday, buddy. Can you believe 1936, 17th of February, people first looked at your purple costume without even realizing it was purple because it was black and white at the time. But to last nearly a century in this game, well, you know, I'm an old showbiz beast. I know how it is. So, Phantom, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Lee Falk, thank you as well, wherever you are right now in the universe, somewhere floating around. Hope you're proud of what you've created. And Superman, Batman, move over. You know you weren't first. Stop trying to claim you were first. Phantom, forever.
Hey there, my name is Scott. I'm from the US, and I wanted to wish the Phantom a happy 90th birthday. I've been a fan since 1996. I think we all know what came out then that introduced a lot of new people into the Phantom lore and legacy. And what makes me a fan is honestly my genuine love for the character, not just the film, but you know, the US-led series that came after that really kind of brought me into that world. I'm looking at Moonstone books specifically, kind of was my first comic foray into the Phantom, and I've been reading as much as I can get my hands on ever since. My favorite stories and creators, you know, of course, Cy Barry is a big, you know, influence on the Phantom, probably one of the biggest names out there outside of Lee Falk, Ben Robb, Mike Bullock, Nick Darrington, Jeff Weigel, Mike Manley. You know, I love, you know, all of their work. As far as favorite stories, The Curse of the Phantom two-parter at Moonstone is probably one of my favorite, not only favorite Phantom stories, but favorite comic books ever. You know, I read a lot of comics. I'm also a big fan of the Seahorse and the Guardian of the Eastern Dark set that Moonstone put out that Mike Bullock wrote. Yeah, those are some right off the top of my head. But, you know, just wanted to say happy birthday to the Phantom. Happy, you know, celebration to everybody else in the Phantom community. And I hope this year we get to see many more Phantom things that, you know, we can all talk about across the globe.
Hi, my name is Wendell Cavalcanti and I'm from Brazil, and I wanted to wish the Phantom a happy birthday. I have been a fan since 1980, and what makes me a fan is the existence of a family line, an entire Phantom lineage. My favorite story is was Assassino do Circo. I'm not sure about the original title. I think it's The Circus Murderer. I'm not sure. And the creators are like, of course, Lee Falk, Cy Barry, Ray Moore, Glenn Lansdale, Mark Verheiden, and Luke McDonnell. Oh, I'm a very big fan of DC's Phantom.
I think what that first got me hooked on the Phantom was by reading the strips in the newspaper when I was a kid. I'd always liked superheroes, and here was one right there in the newspaper. It was drip feeding me the stories. Then when I was given a bundle of Phantom comics by a family friend, there was no turning back. The adventure, the escapism, the close ties with family and friends appealed to me. And though he seemed to be cut off from the world by living in the deep woods and the dense jungles of the African nature of Bangalla, it always seemed to be that the adventures could be very much a part of the world. And having close to a 500-year lineage was genius, as it allowed stories to be created where the Phantom could be inserted into historical events, and when done well, could be done in a manner that didn't affect your suspension of disbelief. Much like a good episode of Doctor Who, which I was also a fan of growing up. I have a number of favourite stories, which I've spoken about in previous podcasts, but a couple that spring to mind quickly are The Phantom Goes to War and the Triad Saga. The Phantom Goes to War and Frew issue 1041 was one of the comics that was in the bundle that was given to me by that family friend, and I read that over and over and over again and loved it. And the Triad Saga from Frew issues 1096 through to 1100 had me eager for each new part to come out. At the time, I was a paper boy for the local newsagents, and every fortnight when I got my pay, it was straight up to the comics section to hand back the money that they had just given me. There are far too many artists and creators that I would need a whole podcast to do them all about my favourites there and to do them all justice. I enjoy what everyone brings to the table. There are some that I prefer more than others, of course, but every person who is a part of bringing these stories to life has their unique perspective on what is important to showcase, and I appreciate that. However, as a kid, I do remember preferring Cy Barry's work far more than Wilson McCoy's or Ray Moore's, but as I matured, I came to a much deeper appreciation for each artist's work. The darkness of Moore provides mystery to what I would call then, in comparison to what I would have called the simplistic art of McCoy, which in reality was far from it. I'm very much enjoying this explosion of new creators, particularly the Australians, and that we have been treated to for some time now. And I hope that this can continue for many years to come. So, Phantom, happy 90th birthday. May there be many more still to come.
Good on you, Steve. Obviously we're probably going to agree with a lot of what you've just said there, Germ. We've both been long-term fans since we were longer than we can remember. Why is it that you've built such a life around the Phantom? Like, I don't know anyone probably who's a bigger Phantom nerd than you are. What is it about the character that has led you to just go down this purple rabbit hole for so much of your life?
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of scary when you look back at it. For me, so my mum remarried when I was about 9 or 10. And there was probably about one or two things that me and him, my stepdad, actually agreed on. That was like AFL football and comics. We both enjoyed reading, whether it was Asterix, Tintin, The Phantom, and so we would go to the library, get them, or he would borrow Phantom comics and we'll read them and, talk about it. And so I guess it was one of the things that probably pointed me towards the Phantom was the fact that, there was this new man in my life who was not my dad. But, we had that common bond. And, so it's kind of ironic. Or not ironic, but I think the Phantom is a generational legendary or a generational pass it down to the next generation. And that's literally what happened is, it didn't really matter that we weren't blood, so to speak. There was that thing that joined us together and we were able to have a relationship from it, bonding over Phantom comics.
Yeah. I'm probably a bit similar in the sense that it was my dad who got me into Phantom comics. He was nowhere near and isn't now anywhere near the fan that I am. But those were the comics that he had around the house. And, I'd get one in the Christmas stocking, or if he's gone into the newsagent and grabbed himself a magazine, I'd end up with a Phantom comic out of it and that sort of stuff. So I certainly embraced it a lot more than he ever did. He still enjoys the odd comic and stuff now, but I guess it is generational in that sense without the level of passion that has come from me. But I guess we never had big conversations about it or anything, but for me it was always the Phantom. We've said it so many times. He is an ordinary man. He's not a superhero with special powers. He's made a vow. Well, he didn't make a vow. His ancestors made a vow on his behalf that he made a choice to swear that oath and live up to the legacy, the 21st Phantom as we know him, and just lives to help people. And that always appealed to me, I think, just that idea that you do what you can to help, and sometimes the Phantom can do more than most. But again, he's just doing it with ordinary powers and some remarkable athletic ability and some remarkable strength, remarkable marksmanship with the pistols. But at the end of the day, just an ordinary guy doing the best that he can.
I think that's important because it makes the Phantom relatable.
Yeah.
We all grew up, there was always Superman, there was always Batman, Spider-Man was another one, back in the 90s with the movies and stuff like that. But unless you had heaps and heaps of money, like Batman, or you were born on another planet, or you were bitten by some radioactive spider, you couldn't make a difference in the world, where the Phantom is a normal human being. He's dedicated his life to make a difference. And I think for a lot of people, there is that what would you call it? That inward brain of wanting to do the right thing and making a difference in life. And, running around with a wolf, guns, beating up people, getting the girls. I think these are all things that, probably appeal.
Yeah. And for me too, I think that it is the generational aspect of the Phantom character. Two ways, I suppose, being able to hinge off the legends that his ancestors have created and use that to get people to trust him or get people to fear him, bad guys to fear him, and be able to use that as part of the power of how he gets things done. But also the challenge of constantly having to live up to that. And some of my favorite stories growing up were, and I'm going to forget the name of the stories, but the 12 tasks type things, when he goes back and re-meets the rope people and has to do the things that his great-great-grandfather did again. And just for him to realize how hard it was, but to do it with his wits as well as his strength. So the aspect of having your forebears go before you and create a legacy for you that you can use, but you also have to live up to, and that was something that always appealed to me as well.
There's a story, I think it's The Prodigal Son, where you've got a fictional Phantom who turns away, and because of the heavy burden of the Phantom, and with what you're saying, it's interesting that there was that one story which talked about, well, it is a burden to become the Phantom. It's, like if you read the childhood of the Phantom stories, where, I remember reading it, they're lounging around on a raft on the water, and then they're talking about what their dad does and what they're gonna do, take over their dad's company, and then they ask Kit, well, what are you gonna do? And he has this flashback of his calling, and it was daunting to him, and then he had to go away because it was traumatic for him, and I think it's interesting you talk about that it's interesting. I think for me, I like the stories where he defeats the bad guys, but it's not like it's not easy for him. He is a human being. He has to beat up the people, or they might shoot back, or they might get a couple of punches in. There's those stories where he is a human being, where there's that human element, where does he doubt himself, or he's like, well, what do I do in this scenario? How am I going to solve this? And so they're the type of stories with those human elements.
Do you remember any particular favorite stories? Like, have you got one or two absolute? And it probably changes week to week. Certainly mine will. You can ask me the same question a month from now and it'll be different. But right now, as you sit here, what are some of the favourite stories that you can remember?
Well, the story that hooked me, and I always read comics, always read fan comics, but I was never hooked. But the story that hooked me was called The Setup, Frew issue 1120, where he was framed for murder. And it was kind of like the movie The Fugitive, with Harrison Ford, where he's having to run away from the cops and then try and play a detective to solve the murder so he can clear his name. And it was like 64 pages, and it was just non-stop action. It was like he got it basically. It was like it was from a movie script, And it was just like, wow, this is a human being. This is someone who you could look up to. This is someone you could idolize, and and it was, Hans Lindell was the artist, Leonard Moberg was the writer, who's actually just given us a happy birthday audio as well, which we've just listened to. So there's a whole full 360 type of whatever moment you want to call that. But yeah, so that's probably one of my all-time favorite stories, was the one that got me hooked.
Well, there's probably two that spring to my mind for me right now. One's a Wilson McCoy, Lee Falk, the werewolf. I just love some of the imagery in that, and it's a very simple story, but it involves the Phantom just through sleight of hand and a bit of trickery, pretending he's a wolf. The Maharaja or whatever it is comes back out, and he thought the Phantom was locked in the cage, and now Devil's in there, and back and forth and back and forth. So just that, I really enjoyed that, and one of the last couple of strips in the story has the Phantom just belly laughing his whole way back to the deep woods at the thought of it, and I really love that story, just that the humanity of it and the fun of that one. And the other one that springs to mind right now is probably The Ambassador, which is a Cy Barry story, and Lee Falk went through a real terrorist phase, I suppose, in the late, I guess it was more the early 80s, probably driven by the world politics at the time. But The Ambassador, where the Phantom has to rescue President Luaga and Diana, who have been kidnapped by this group of 12 or 13 terrorists. And the story finishes again. It's always the end that strikes me, but the story finishes with President Luaga judo chopping the last surviving terrorist, and then turning to the Phantom, going, "How did you rescue us? How did you take out all the terrorists?" And the Phantom replies, "The same way you did, one at a time." And just that line really, struck me again. I guess it's that witty, it's that human type. Oh, I didn't do it all at once, and the humility, I think, of the Phantom as well. So I guess both of those talk to his humanity and not the superpowers. So yeah.
So obviously, when it comes to like favorite artists, we've probably got Cy Barry, Wilson McCoy, and then creative probably got Lee Falk. They're the obvious ones, which I think sit right up near the top. Do you have any other artists or creators that maybe sit a little bit below or up above or?
Well, I guess outside of the newspaper or news strip canon, because I love Jeff Weigel as well. He'd probably be my next in terms of the newspaper strips. But outside of that, Jamie Valvey is someone whose artwork I really appreciate probably more and more now. And I guess there's maybe a nostalgic feel to it, because they were some of the first Scandinavian comics that came to Australia. But I certainly enjoyed him, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Heine Bade or Heine Bade, or Bade is the surname anyway. Certainly love his artwork as well. Kari Lepinen, there's a whole range probably who were really hitting their straps in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, Hans Lindell, George's Best. They're all pretty much the same. Filming in the 90s and early 2000s.
Filming, of course.
Cesar Spadara. We've got his stepson, who's just also given us a little bit of a shout out as well. So they're all mine as well. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Jeff Weigel stays on the Phantom for the next 5-10 years, he will become known as the best Sunday Phantom artist. I've said it before and I will say it again. If he just needs the longevity.
Yeah.
He needs the longevity
to
be able to, and I believe he's got the touch and he's got the look that will rival Cy Barry.
Yeah, look, as I say, he's absolutely top 3 for me right now. He's very, very good.
Paul Ryan, I think, done a great job modernising it. Graham Nolan, with both of their artwork in the early 2000s, really brought a new level or a higher standard in the newspaper stories in the 2000s.
It's probably that longevity, unfortunately. Eduardo Barado, it would have been fantastic for him to have a longer run. Really enjoyed what he was doing. but yeah, you're right. Another 5 or 10 years for Jeff, and it'll get him into that same sort of stratosphere, won't it?
Yeah. So talking about the future, where's the fan going to be, you reckon, in 5, 10, and whoever knows, as you said before, maybe even the next 90?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, over the course of this podcast, and we've been doing it for 10 or 15 years now, maybe more.
15 than 10.
Yeah, there's certainly been times where we've probably been a bit bleak about the future of the fandom, and it's probably easy to do because it, you can talk about the aging generation of fans and all the rest of it. And certainly I've got my concerns about the way the King Features is perhaps going and the approach that they want to take and how they see bringing the fandom into a modern audience. Who knows? Time will tell whether they're right or not. Realistically, though, they've probably got 5 years to get it sorted out because 90 is bloody close to 95, and 95 is that magic number where copyright expires on gradually aspects of the fandom. So I actually think there'll be a revival. I think there'll be a big boost and a revival of the fandom in about 5 years, 6, 7 years perhaps, as they lose the trademark and the copyright, or whatever the legal term is, and people can produce their own stuff with a lot more freedom. That will be really interesting to see how that goes. And I've got some positivity around that.
Yeah. The 5-year window that you gave it, so to speak, I think that's I think Fantasma magazine's looking pretty good. I have some concerns about the Frew, mainly about the age of the people who are in charge of it. They're not getting any younger. Their health is not there as well. I have some positivity around Mad Cave Studios, not so much the Defenders of the Earth series, but I think their Phantom series is doing good. But I've been saying it for the last 4 years. This TV show that is, but I do think the TV show is key, and I think if King Features can get that TV show right, but not only getting the TV show right, but getting what comes during and after the TV show is right. Like you had the movie in 1996, flop, whatever you want to do, it had a lot of fans loving it, and a lot of fans were doing it. But then Frew fell asleep at the wheel. King Features fell asleep at the wheel. Lee Falk was only around for another 2-3 years afterwards and stuff like that. We almost saw the death of the newspaper strip. So King Features and the shareholders did not future-proof the Phantom with that good kick-up, good shot in the arm with the movie. Now, hopefully they can learn that with this TV show. We've been hearing rumours. We're hearing rumours. At the moment, that's all they are, is rumours. If this TV show happens, we need to make sure that King Features and the other shareholders, Frew, Fantomen, Egmont, Mad Cave Studios, hopefully they stay with the license. Hopefully they continue producing comics and stuff like that. Shaki with the Indian comics. There's 1 billion Indian fans, and like Australia, the Phantom is a huge part of their culture. If it's curated correctly, this TV show could be a really good shot in the arm, and that could future-proof it. But if it's not future-proof, if King Features don't put clear guidelines on what is a Phantom story, what the Phantom looks like, this is how he acts. It doesn't act like that. If that's not there, it's just going to become a mess. And unfortunately, the Phantom might become like the dodo bird.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying, and the prospect of the TV show, if it is a Netflix production or whatever it might be, there is so much that hinges on that, and as we've said, 5 years to get that right. It really needs to come out in 2027, 28 at the latest, I would have thought, for them, because you're absolutely right. They need to establish what is Phantom law before the copyright expires and people can do whatever they like with it. Now, I think that most people who could be bothered doing stuff with the Phantom will be people who love it and want to do it in the right way. And you know, we've both seen, I think, that a lot of fans have a lot more care and a lot more love for the character than the corporate types do, and would want to do it the right way. That's why, you know, I like to think the best of people. I hope that the people who do make the effort to do something with a Phantom post the copyright expiring, and we're drifting into a whole different podcast topic now, do it the right way. But I guess it remains to be seen. But right now, I'm feeling really positive, and maybe it's the up vibes of a 90th birthday celebration. So you know, I'd love to see the Phantom be able to raise the bat for 100, point to all directions of the compass, and thank the crowd, and then knuckle down and bat on to do a Travis Head, get at least into the 160s.
Exactly. Exactly. All the US listeners are going, what on earth is he talking about? It's all our Indian brothers would know what we're talking about. We're talking about cricket. That's the sport that the Americans butchered into baseball. But yeah, look, you know, the fact that we're celebrating 90 years is a huge celebration. It's still going strong even after Lee Falk, Ray Moore, Wilson McCoy have all passed. You know, these are huge giants of the Phantom world that, you know, help create the Phantom, help create this legacy, and the Phantom is still going strong. The Phantom is probably stronger now than what it was in 1999 when Lee Falk sadly passed. So that is a huge celebration. Where you know, there's so, you know, we've got digital comics, you know, all these, you know, Comics Kingdom are releasing different things, you know, all these things are pretty exciting. So yeah, look, very excited. It's great to be able to celebrate 90 years with everyone associated with Chronicle Chamber, all the fans out there and stuff like that as well. So yeah, you know, here's to the next 90 years.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday to the Phantom, and buy and read a comic. From us, happy Phantoming, happy birthday.
Happy Phantom birthday-ing.
Happy birthday, Fantoming.
And upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die. The Phantom, the ghost who walks. The Phantom. Enemies beware, the Phantom's always there, but you won't find the Phantom. He finds